Thank you, John. Hello, accelerators. Hopefully you're having a productive and inspiring conference here. And it's wonderful to be in the room with so many change makers. I'd like to start with, next slide, please. I'd like to start with a little bit of an origin story. The year was 1962. I was 5 years old. And my parents took me to the tide pools at Abalone Cove in the coastal southern region of Los Angeles. And it was one of the most wondrous and amazing sights I have ever seen in my life. The tide pools were just teeming with life, from five-color starfish to pulsing sea anemones to little bobbing seahorses and sideways walking crabs. And at 5 years old, it was better than a Dr. Seuss novel or Disneyland. It was amazing because it was real. And it really hit me in my heart with all the natural beauty and miracles that our earth provides. Next slide. Fast forward 7 years. I'm 13 years old now, and there wasn't a single living thing left in those tide pools. It had been completely destroyed, largely by dumping petrochemical waste and sewage into Santa Monica Bay. It really broke my heart. And what was the rationale for this destruction of nature and beauty? Money, business, and economic pragmatism. Next slide. Well, is it really pragmatic to elevate money over our survival? I don't think so. And when we define pragmatism, it is providing practical solutions to problems that are real. Interestingly enough, I think our lives are real. My next breath is real. Drinking water is real. Eating food is real. Materials for my shelter and energy are real. But we've given all of this up because the earth provides it all. We've given it up for an economic system that is really based in myth. We believe in this myth that basically the same paper with Benjamin Franklin printed on it is worth 100 times more than the same piece of paper with Washington printed on it. And yet, when you look at it, if we want to really look at the economics of nature, we wouldn't have a life or an economy without it. And the World Economic Forum has actually put a price tag on it. It's $125 trillion a year. The global GDP is $80 trillion a year. And human activities are destroying $7.3 trillion a year of natural capital. If we do the math, we have 17 years before we are totally screwed. So, has the Titanic hit the iceberg? Well, we were warned about the iceberg about 60 years ago, and we arrogantly drove our Earthship Titanic directly into the existential iceberg. And it's pretty clear that we've hit the iceberg, and we keep ramming it into the iceberg, accelerating the damage and our demise. It's pretty sad. But is there hope? I believe there is. But it's not going to come from sustainability. Sustainability is really just a slower way to die. It's a do no harm philosophy, or do no further harm philosophy. And it still allows for the continuance of the extraction, the corruption, and ecosystemic damage, so long as it's good for the GDP and that we can meet the needs for future generations. Well, at our current rate, we're really not going to meet those needs. And in fact, if we keep going the way we are and doing no further harm, it's quite possible that we may not last as a species for another 100 years. So what can we do? And what I propose is that we focus on regenerability. Now, regenerability is a do-good philosophy. It promotes thriving. It continually adds value, energy, renewal, and vitality to our ecosystem, society, and human life. Regenerability creates ongoing regenerative abundance and resilience that will meet and possibly exceed the needs of future generations. So, by investing in nature and regenerability, we can not only solve our existential challenges, but we can realize higher profits and ROI, reduced risk, including climate risk, and build one of the largest and most enduring economies in the history of humankind. It's the multi-trillion-dollar regenerative economy. Here are just a few of the opportunities, and each of these are a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. So building the regenerative economy is economically pragmatic, but it's also pragmatic from a standpoint of creating a thriving world. The regenerative economy is actually more of a horizontal than a vertical, because the regenerative economy will actually affect and transform almost every industry we know today. And it's focused on creating thriving for people and planet. So, how do we get there? Well, as an entrepreneur with a public exit and 2 M&As and seeing what happened with the internet and how quickly that changed our lives and cultures, I'm placing my bets on regenerative entrepreneurs and regenerative enterprises and projects, which I call REPs. And I would say the difference between an enterprise and a regenerative enterprise, or an entrepreneur and a regenerative entrepreneur, is really a sense of heart, appreciation of beauty, empathy, and a will to really use our juice, our time, and our resources to make the world a better place. So, what I found in the impact ESG investing space is often sort of an ethos that will invest in long-term returns, take greater risk, and have lower returns. But unfortunately, I believe that's giving a black eye to impact and ESG investing. So there are 4 things that entrepreneurs really need to consider in order to have these investments go mainstream. First, we have to be able to provide risk-adjusted market rate returns. In other words, the returns from impact investing need to meet or exceed that which is available in other similar investments. The management team has to be experienced, and often entrepreneurs don't have experience. They're young, they're very idealistic, but you need to assemble a team that can impress investors that they can achieve what they are set out to do, that they can achieve their mission and their milestones. Third is having market expertise. Now, sometimes, if you're really innovative, you're creating a new market, but you have to know and plan and be able to convince investors that you have the ability to find the market, get customers in the market, obtain market share, and or expand the market. And finally, investors always want to know, if I put my money in, how do I get my money out? Is it an IPO, an M&A, distributions of profits, royalty structures, and some form of debt with a warrant bump? So there's a lot of different ways we can look at how we finance the regenerative economy. But we need to be able to tell investors how they're going to get out. And in order to create the regenerative economy, it's going to take all of us. We're all in it together. And quite frankly, the change has to come from the inside out, ground up and top down. Inside out refers to personal change in how we perceive the world and how we change our consumptive habits. Ground up is our relationship with the planet and how we look at the resources and value these resources and nurture the planet so that it can give us its regenerative abundance. And lastly, top down refers to the leadership of government, corporations, and the regulatory environment. Now, generally, consumers, mostly individuals, but also businesses, influence markets. They change markets with their buying decisions and their purchase power. Regenerative entrepreneurs will provide the innovation and the new businesses and the new ways that we can actually live on this earth in a manner where we're actually creating vitality and renewal. And let's face it, philanthropy, sometimes it actually changes minds through its activism, through its messaging. But where we really see the big influence is individuals and regenerative entrepreneurs. And when markets change, the corporations, the government, and capital providers will follow the market. They always follow the money. So we need to create money in a regenerative economy. So ask ourselves, as we're departing today, how I can make a change or make a difference to creating a thriving world. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. And thank you.